Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daily Fan Racing NASCAR DFS preview show. This week we are talking about COTA. I got to call it COTA, and you guys are going to have to correct me as this week goes on, but we're back after a fun week last week at Atlanta, and I know you guys are very much excited to break it down. As always, I'm joined with my very good-looking co-hosts here in Jason and Ryan Larkin, and before I pass it over to you guys, let me just say the wheel did beat Ryan. So there we go. I had to put that out there. I'm going to take credit for that one.
Last week.
But it was it was fun for me to finally get something, even though it's all due to the wheel. So we're back with another very, very fun episode today. Let me pass it over to you guys. Jason, how was your week last week?
Week was pretty good. Atlanta, we have that new super speedway on the circuit now, so kind of treat it like a super speedway. Got through cash pretty good, came out with profit, just stacking the back, came out profitable like it typically is at super speedways. I didn't get the big score. I didn't have any Joey Logano, but I kind of laid that out in my article that I probably was going to miss the big scores without hitting the dominator. But I was okay with that, played it safe, wanted to come out with a profit, and that's where we ended up on. But so it was a fun week, I guess.
And I know we already made fun of you a bit, Ryan, but let us know how last week went for you.
It went fantastic. Right. We actually, I played really light, and because I wasn't too high on Atlanta as a track and a concept to play, so I wasn't really paying much attention to how much I played. It was also a 4-race weekend, so I had a lot of stuff going on in terms of content. So I managed to turn $200 into $600 type thing. So I was happy. It was fun. I wish I had played more. I wish I'd paid attention and tried a little bit harder, but we had a really good day. And then, F1 ended up with the optimal on F1 if Alonso was scored for 4th, which is how DK paid out. So they paid me with first place money. And then we had a member who won the first F1 slate, the $15, also won the second one now. So he's 2 for 2. Wow. But then with the correct scoring, we had a different person, a few different people who won as well. So it was convoluted. F1, they kind of screwed up the scoring. DraftKings did, but we had success either way. The lineup shook out, so that was really cool. And it was a lot of fun. It was a good weekend. The racing sucked at Atlanta, but it was a good weekend.
The racing sucked. What was wrong about the racing?
Okay, so which ones do you like? Do you like the crash fest of the trucks in Xfinity, where the drivers are absolute idiots, don't know how to run in circles, or the cup race where they literally ride around in a circle for 3 hours?
Okay, but isn't that what they do at every super speedway race? Like, we have a law, they run high strain. But we have laws at every single race we go to, right? There's race that happens, right? I don't think that makes the race bad. The last stage was phenomenal, and the guys didn't just wreck them up. We got to see a great end with some great super speedway racers, an incredible move, and the guys didn't wreck. I thought that was a fantastic finish.
Make the races 70 laps in. Make the races 70 laps. If that's what we're doing it for, make them 70 laps. I didn't need the first 200 laps. The last stage was great, yes, and it took 2.5 hours to get there. So, yeah, I was bored. I won a bunch of money, and I was still bored. I don't see what the draw is to that track. The racing wasn't good. No one did anything. The fans obviously didn't like it. They tuned out. Ratings were horrible. There was nothing good that happened this week in Atlanta.
Ratings,
that's a lie. Josh Williams. Something good happened. What Josh Williams did was
the stands packed?
Doubtful. It's Atlanta. It's never packed.
They sold out both races last year with the new super speedway. And we've sold out 3 of the first 4 races of the season.
No.
Are you sure?
I don't buy that. Atlanta.
I'm Googling it right now.
I lived in Atlanta. I went there. My birthday's March 14th, and Atlanta race is always on that weekend. Nobody ever freaking went there.
That was before it was a super speedway. I'm going to look.
No one gives a crap about that race, man. Atlanta. Go ahead, Gordo. Get us something good. Where are we at? Where are we at this week?
Well, on that note, let's move forward to a bit to the new races. We have COTA this weekend, which I have just learned stands for the Circuit of the Americas. Thank you. I really needed that. I have messed up. But as we move forward to that one, as we progress to that, make sure to leave the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Let's dive into it, because this is it looks like to be a fun one. I now understand abbreviations, and I'm ready to understand the track type. Ryan, break it down for us. What should we expect to see this weekend?
So we are now having our third race at the Circuit of the Americas, which is really cool. It's an F1 track. So it was built for F1, and honestly, it's a great F1 track. It's a lot of fun. Puts on a great show there. For the first two NASCAR events, the first one was in a torrential downpour, so it was an absolute mess. And then the race last year was actually really good. It was exciting. We had some really cool moments, had some carnage at the end. But for the most part, it was really fun, and we got a new winner in Ross Chastain. Yo, what's up?
Was that the clip of Chastain winning after the last wreck on the final lap?
Yeah, where he absolutely moved someone out of the way and wrecked two cars.
Yeah.
That's the one.
You know, it was a fun race when I even watched that. I think I saw that clip go a bit viral there too. So yeah, if we're expecting any more of that, it should be fun. But you may continue.
Yeah, so good racing. We got some different stuff happening this year, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second with the rule changes for the stages. But I like the track. I know it's a small sample size to know if it's going to be a really good race or not. And the new car, I felt like last year was okay, but it was mainly okay because we got a bunch of restarts. If we get long green flag racing, I don't know how the car will race, but we'll find out. I'm so excited for the track. It's a big, long, somewhat technical road course, but with very little tire wear. So you may just get guys going straight up, as fast as they can, not really saving anything, which can make for kind of boring racing on road courses, or it can make for demolition derbies and weird things happen, kind of like the Indy road course, which has zero tire wear.
Okay. Happy to hear your thoughts on it as well, Jason. Before we get that, though, I see your question in the chat there, Matthew. We will get to them. If anybody else has any questions, please feel free to let them know. Let us know there, and we'll get to them shortly. But, Jason, what should we expect this weekend in your point of view, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I love road course racing. Road course racing for me is one of like the more predictable types of tracks we can go to. Like guys who are good at road courses typically show up from a week to week. There's not a whole lot of variance on these races. We don't see a ton of accidents unless we see rain or have a crazy incident like at Indianapolis, or how kind of this race got a little wild at the end last year. But typically they're pretty calm, pretty predictable from a DFS standpoint. Like the strategy is pretty straightforward. Like we want to really kind of attack some position differential plays in our lineup. And I think these slates work out where I don't think you have to play a whole lot of lineups. Like there's not a lot of variance. And I think I love road course races. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
All right. Sounds good to me. I just got some intel, and when I mean intel, I mean, I just looked up to make sure everything I was on point. Ryan, you seem to be excited about something new that's going to happen this weekend, something about there being no stage break cautions. Would you like to be the guy to break that down for us?
This is the greatest thing in the world. So 2017 was the start of stage racing. So essentially they added stages where they throw cautions and they break up the race, mainly so they can go to commercial. But they award points to the top 10 finishers, right? And they've done that in every race since then. This week, they are not throwing cautions for those stages. They're going to award the points just like they would, but they're just going to keep green flag racing going. And the reason why this is important is on a road course, when there's only, I don't know what the lap total is for this week. I haven't looked that up, but it was 60 laps, right? 68, 65, something like that. Laps, it's not a lot of laps. And if you're throwing mandatory cautions every 15 laps, you're not really allowing for any strategy on road courses. Essentially, everyone knows when they're going to pit. They're going to pit right before stage ends. And the strategy is the same for the entire field. There's no shakeup. There's no changes. There's no one trying different things. With the stage cautions now eliminated, teams are going to be trying different things. They're going to try two-stop or three-stop strategies. You're going to be looking at guys trying to go long, and there will be some tire wear. There will be fall off to an extent. How much we don't know, but if someone's trying to run long on a green flag run and a caution falls, the race is going to be massively impacted. Whereas short pitting, some guys are going to try to. It's just going to open things up from a race, and it's going to make it fun. From what I find an F1 race fun, right? Like I enjoy the strategy. I enjoy trying to figure out what everyone's doing, trying to figure out an undercut, and things like that. That's now back in play in NASCAR, and that was honestly one of the best things with road courses pre-stages. So I know I kind of stumbled across a lot there, but my point is to me the racing this weekend is going to be so much better because teams are going to be able to do things to differentiate themselves from the field, and we're going to be able to watch that in live action. And there's a chance that this race literally goes green from the start of the race till the end of the race. That's always in play here with road courses where there's no mandatory cautions like stage breaks. So I'm really excited for it. I hope we honestly get that type of run where it's like the first 30, 40 laps are caution free and guys are playing strategy and we're seeing all different types of things play out. I know carnage is what people want, but I don't want to see what happened at the end of the last year where Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, all these guys are just getting into each other and wrecking and crashing on these restarts. That's not good racing. That's just nonsense. We can actually see a really good race play out finally for the first time since 2016 because we're stopped doing gimmick nonsense. So I'm excited.
There's some passion right there. All right, well, let's break into it. Let's not waste any more time. Jason, talk to us about some lineup construction this week. And of course, we don't know much about where they're going to start, where they're going to place, but tell us about how you are personally going to be targeting your lineup construction.
Yeah, well, as far as lineup construction, kind of touched on the lap total here this week. There's only 68 laps, so that does not leave a lot of room for Dominator points to be scored on this race. So it's not something that we're going to make a huge focus in our builds. Like if you look historically at Dominators and how they score, you're really only seeing one main Dominator in those optimal lineups in the last year. So you're not going to have to jam in 2 guys, 3 guys to score those Dominator points. And frankly, like if you're looking at cash or single entry, you may not even have to chase a Dominator play this week, right? You see a lot of position differential plays. You can see they make up 28%, guys. Oh, we skipped our graphic here, but 28% of the top 10 scorers on road courses last year made up from guys in that 21 to 30 range, and 27% from 11 to 20. So, like, I know there's obviously a large percentage of those guys started in the front who score, but like there's so many points out there in the position differential. I think that's going to make up your bulk of your lineup build, and then maybe sprinkle in that guy who you think can win, get your Dominator points, and call it a day, really.
Yeah, so I flipped that because what you're touching on first, with Dominator is kind of important. With the 6 races last year, there were 10 drivers who scored 10 plus Dominator points. That's not a lot of drivers through 6 races. It's less than 2 a race, right? And then only 7 of those were in the top 10 DK scores. So essentially, one driver a race who scored 10 plus Dominator points was in the top 10 of DK scores. So you're not seeing a lot of those Dominators really factor in, guys that are getting fast laps and laps led. Obviously, like Tyler Reddick at Indy just crushed the field. That's a different scenario. Ross Chastain here at COTA last year led a ton of laps and won. Those are kind of the scenarios, the guys that were scoring really well. But outside of them, there's not a number 2 behind them. There's not a second guy that you need in the lineup. It's none of that. It's place difference guys. Now, it may be a guy that starts 8th and finishes 5th, like Chris Buescher or Michael McDowell did a lot last year. And those are good value plays this week. Even the price is fantastic on both those guys. But you can still get guys, and if we look at this graph where 35% is coming 1st through 10th, but it might just be because they're starting 8th, finishing 5th, they're scoring because there's no Dominator points to offset that. There's not these guys that you have to attack elsewhere. It's literally who's putting up 50, 55 points in this race. And there's a lot of lineup construction, thoughts that need to go into your head when you're trying to build for this race, because it's not like any other, especially with only 68 laps. It really changes things.
I will say with those, when you look at those 35% that make up from the top 10 there, like I think it's 22 performances, and 10 of them were in that 8, 9, 10 of DK scoring. So they're not really hitting in that top 6, right? They're kind of just making it into that top 10. And the guys that we see, the 10 remaining guys that we see inside that top 6 scores, are those guys who scored those Dominator points, who have those 10 plus Dominator points. So it's really a small fraction that are made up by those guys who start 8th, finish 5th, who are hitting optimal, right? Is one more thing that I saw in there. And there was another point that I wanted to make, but I kind of just lost my train of thought there.
Well, I'll go back on kind of what you're talking about with place differential, and this, with this track is there's a lot of carnage on the road courses last year. And so while this chart's amazing and I had fun doing the colors and stuff, this may not hold up this year. It's a situation where, and we got into it last year on our Twitter spaces about Austin Dillon, where in this race last year, he literally ran 22nd the entire race. But then when Larson and Kyle Busch and Logano and all those guys had the problems and Chastain booted Allmendinger out the way, all of a sudden he finished 11th. And it's like, I think he was optimal in that race, if I'm not mistaken. So all of a sudden you got this guy who ran 22nd all day, finished 11th through literally avoiding chaos. And he was optimal only because of late cautions, only because of the way that race played out. if we don't get those cautions, if the stage breaks, we have those stage breaks, a bunch of back up to get a short run, we may end up with a super long run here at the end of the race where we never get the opportunity for the carnage. Same thing with the Indy road course. I mean, obviously we saw the craziness that was those late race restarts there. And, when you eliminate those, I think that also kind of eliminates some of the place differential plays, or at least that's a possibility.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. And I don't think you're shifting necessarily towards like a dominator. I'd say it's just like, who are those guys that are going to be fast who start 8th and then finish 3rd or 12th and finish? I'm maybe not looking so much for guys that run 22nd to magically finish 11th. It's more like, okay, I know someone's good. He starts 14th and he can finish top 10, top 8, something like that. So I think there's just kind of a balance with your thought process that may need to come into play because of the shift to no stage cautions.
Yeah, and to your point, like this race could get flipped on its head at any moment, right? To where those guys who are starting the back can find themselves with track position based on, a short pit and an untimely caution comes out at the wrong time that somebody is not planned. And that's why I really like, I've seen a lot of steam this week about, that expecting somebody's going to lead all the laps because there's no, that's what everybody, I've seen a lot of steam building up that. So that means we're going to see a lot of heavy emphasis on the pole sitters or the second place guys, the guys starting up front. If they're only going to score probably 15 points, and they're going to carry ownership, and we know this race can flip on his head at any point. There's massive reason to fade those guys in GPP this week.
Yeah, and to that point, we can tackle kind of the dominators aspect there as well. We see this style of race play out a lot more in the Xfinity series where there's less, laps in those races. So when I think of some of those, and they were the ones that were racing on Road America and those really big tracks with low lap counts long before the Cup Series was doing this. And we would attack the Austin Cindrics and the AJ Allmendingers, in those races because there was really no competition. It was really basically 2 or 3 guys that were going to dominate those races. Whereas we can pick 10 guys in this race that can win, right? So it's a lot harder for someone to separate themselves in general. And then, we will have pit strategy. The race leader may get into his pit window and just come in, and then you'll have someone else lead for 15 laps or something, So there's a lot of different things that can happen. And a timely caution that really shakes up the field can definitely happen as well. So, I completely agree. There's not a lot of dominator points. And if you can find ways to leverage the field and if people are going to be on the pole sitter, it's a good spot. While there is some risk involved, they can definitely pay off. They can't really separate themselves from your lineups either. If you don't play a pole sitter, and maybe he's optimal, but the difference is you're 5 points shy of that, and you can beat a lot of lineups still that played him. Whereas a race with 300 laps where that dominator hits, if you don't have him, you're screwed, right? Like Byron a couple of weeks ago at Vegas, I didn't have him, and I had no chance of cashing. Whereas here, if you don't have that dominator, you can still make things happen. Even so, the risk is there, and it's not that big of one.
Yeah, it's a lot lower risk play than it is on other weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, last week we had a special guest and the wheel of fate. This week we're just going to go back to our typical drivers to watch. Let's talk about before these.
Whoa! Can we talk about who won last week? You're just going to gloss over the fact that
I was going to wait for the next time we use it and be like,
why would you
last
wait?
time we
did
this?
Okay.
No, let me.
Yeah, let's just announce who the winner was.
Jason dominated. He dominated. It wasn't even close. There it is. It's out there. Actually, let me pull up some actual numbers here. The point of it from last time was to take the combined placement for 4 drivers. I, of course, had the wheel. In last place was Ryan with a combined placement of 103. 103 over 4 drivers.
An average finish of 26th. I mean, that's
26.
That's pretty good, man.
In second place was in third place was Dan, who had a combined score of 68. In second place was yours truly in the wheel, who scored 61. And then half of my score, beating by a full 30 place, was Jason. He had 31 combined
taking candy
points. He had Chastain, Keselowski, Busch, and Hamlin rolled through us. Okay. We're not doing that this week. We're going back to our drivers to watch. And as I do all this, let me pull up our DraftKings salary just for a little background here as well. But we're going to talk about, same as always, our high tier, our medium tier, our lower tier, our value tier. Sorry, let's put some respect on them there. And who are we looking to target before the qualify even happens? So we'll start with you, Mr. Champion Jason, for the high value tier. Sorry, for the high expensive tier. High value for the expensive tier.
High value.
It could be high.
It could be.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so as far as like my driver to watch in this tier, like I say driver, but it's really kind of an organization, right? I'm going with Chris Bell here. And it's really I'm wanting to see how these Toyotas show up in practice week. Because if you saw Chris Bell last year on road courses, we all know he got his first Cup Series win at the Daytona road course, but he had 2 top 5s and he got that win at the Roval last year, 3 top 10s on road courses. He led all Toyotas in both those categories. He led Toyotas in lap sled, led Toyotas in fast stuff. So he was like the premier Toyota driver on road courses. And this is a team in Joe Gibbs Racing that was absolutely dog shit on road courses last year. Like they were the 8th ranked team on road courses last year, behind teams like Front Row, RFK, Colleague. I mean, behind some, like a big team behind some, smaller teams. So Toyota struggled, JGR struggled, but still Bell was still very strong. So if they show up with speed this week, Bell is going to be somebody to watch and somebody might want to have some shares of.
Okay. We'll pass it over to you now, Ryan. Who is your top tier driver to watch?
So my top tier driver to watch is probably not going too far on a limb. It's the highest priced driver on the slate. I'm assuming he's also got the lowest odds there. He's probably the favorite from Vegas to win this race as well. Kyle Larson was the best driver here in 2021. Of course, that's with the old car. But he looked amazing, and NASCAR gave Chase Elliott the win with the rain shortened situation. That was Kyle Larson's race to win. He won the Watkins Glen race last year with the new car. And then, honestly, between here and some of the other races, he had some bad luck on road courses. He dominated the first part of Sonoma. Bad pit strategy kind of killed the race there, just certain things like that. But I really like teams that seem to gain mechanical grip for what it's worth. Phoenix doesn't obviously translate too much here, but they found something. They have something across the board at every track right now. So I like when teams find speed. It's Hendrick. They're already towards the front. Chase Elliott was really strong on road courses last year. I expect him to be towards the front. And, at 10-4, he's the highest price, but it's still not that high of a price to pay. And I think he can win this race. So qualifying practice will kind of be important to watch. There's a lot of guys, which, like Ross Chastain obviously is going to get a lot of attention. Kyle Busch going to get a lot of attention because he's in the 8 car that Tyler Reddick dominated road courses with last year. You have AJ Allmendinger. You have a lot of guys that can contend, but I'm very interested to see what Kyle Larson does. And because there's so many of these races coming up, I'm very curious to see which organizations are going to take hold of road courses this year. If it's Trackhouse still, then Ross Chastain could go out and win back-to-back races here. But right now I'm feeling Hendrick. I feel like Kyle Larson is going to be tough to beat. We already know he's good on road courses and at this track. So if they have a little edge on the field, it could be an ass kicking.
Well, as we progress down to the mid tier, before we do that, though, I'd love for you to answer this question here. Since we are talking about just who we think is going to win as a team, do you think Chevys have an advantage this weekend?
I do. I'm not sure what Jason thinks, but I certainly do. But it's more of a carryover from last year, Trackhouse and Hendrick Motorsports. But those are also just like Hendrick's been the best on road courses for about 5-6 years now. That's not going too far on a limb, and obviously they're a powerhouse. And then you have Trackhouse, who are really good, and then Colleague has AJ Allmendinger, who can make
RCR.
And then
they were the top.
And RCR were the dominant team last year, so at least with Tyler Reddick. So yeah, I mean they were at the forefront last year. These aren't teams that should fall off. These are high quality teams. So yeah, and I don't think I personally don't think JGR is going to find the speed. I don't think they're going to be able to contend for the race win. Doesn't mean they can't be DFS viable, but I personally think Chevys are going to be the teams to watch. Just like last week, it was Ford, right? Seems like we're definitely getting segmented at these different track types, and that's also good. That helps us with picking teams. So yeah, I definitely like Chevy.
All right, well, we'll stick with you there. Let's talk about some mid-tier drivers and just quickly address. Do we have some new faces in the racing this weekend, or am I just going crazy?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of new faces.
That's gonna be Larkin's. Actually, that's Larkin's job right there, is to go through those guys.
Well, give me the
because I joined tonight specifically to hear your take on these guys, because I don't know.
Yeah, so two of them are actually in my drivers to watch. So, yeah, I was definitely going to cover them. If you want to take that off, we can look at that range. I think it's from like 8 to 69K. They're all right in that range. Probably the first one that we're all looking at is that Johnson guy. He's at 7,300. A lot of people probably don't know who he is, but that's Jimmy Johnson. He's a 7-time champion of the NASCAR Cup Series. He does all right. So Johnson's back. He's doing this part-time deal with Legacy Motor Club, teammates with Eric Jones and Noah Gregson. And so this is, he's been running road courses in IndyCar. So I guess he figured, hey, I can run road courses with the new car, here at COTA. So Jimmy Johnson's back. Should be a fun driver to watch. Obviously a really successful NASCAR driver. I don't know how he'll do, but it should be fun to watch. But as far as the real new faces, he probably is fairly new to you, Gordo. But as far as the rest of them, go ahead.
I you know what? I had to do a little bit of research, and I know of him. I got like Jeff Gordon had over there too, but
he showed up
what
on
I do
TSN,
see is,
right?
Yeah, sometimes, right? Come on, thank you for the Canadian help there.
Absolutely.
I also see 47 years old though, which is questionable.
That's
and
young.
I'd love to see how
he's just driving a car. What do you think? What do you think he's doing out there?
I'm telling you right now, he's in better shape than everyone else in the field, so I ain't worried about the age. That
better shape than I am too.
But we got some real new faces. So Kimi Räikkönen, who's an F1 champion, actually ran the Watkins Glen race last year and looked pretty good. He was in contention for top 10. He's back again with Trackhouse. Jimmy who love it. Kimi Räikkönen's a fun personality. He's back. We got Jenson Button, another F1 champion. So we got 2 F1 champions in this race. Kimi Räikkönen with Trackhouse should look good if they have their speed. Jenson Button's essentially driving a Stewart Haas car. So teammates with Harvick, Briscoe, those guys over there. It's under the Rick Ware name, but it's a Stewart Haas car. Jenson Button's been associated with Mobil 1 since F1 days with McLaren, and so that connection's pretty easy, right? And then we have Jordan Taylor, who's subbing in for Chase Elliott in this race. So he'll be in the 9 car for Hendrick, and that's a real stout ride to get in to make your Cup Series debut. But Jordan Taylor's I got a bunch of notes for him, so I'm going to say that he's my value play or my mid-tier play here in a second. So I'll save on him. But Jordan Taylor's in the race as well. So we got some really cool names, some guys to watch, guys we don't typically see. And when we're doing pre-race stuff, we're paying attention to these guys a little bit more, and it makes it exciting. Like, to me, this is exactly what I want from racing. Is like, wow, holy crap, we got Kimi Räikkönen and Jenson Button showing up, and we get to watch them race. Like, regardless of how they perform, it's fun. And then it really throws a wrench DFS-wise, because that is the tier we need to attack, and we got a lot of guys that are question marks, in this race. So that should be fun.
All right, well, let's stick right with you. Who is your driver to watch in this mid-tier?
It's Jordan Taylor. So, I just commented on Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports. Basically, I think they're going to have the best cars on track. And as much as Jordan Taylor's making his debut and has never driven a stock car, these aren't stock cars anymore. He hasn't driven in a NASCAR race. He is very well acclimated to this type of car. So first off, he's been doing the Garage 56 deal with Jimmy Johnson, with Jenson Button, getting that ready for Le Mans. There's some adjustments to that car that make it not like a Cup car, but similar enough. He's going to have some knowledge and pick some things up for starters. Other than that, he's been running IMSA for the last 10 years or so, and he's a champion across the board. He's won the 24 Hours of Le Mans with Corvette. He's been winning as much as you could possibly win, basically, at that level in the GTD class. And so the GTD cars are very similar. They have similar suspension setups. They have similar, overall, like, that car is pretty close to a Cup car where we are now. There's obviously differences. There's going to be things that he has to learn, but enough similarities that I think the transition is not going to be that big of a deal. I wrote down a bunch of things: 24-hour Le Mans champ, 24 IMSA wins, which is amazing. 3 titles, 3 Daytona 24-hour wins. Like, his resume on road courses in a GTD car is pretty much untouched. There's a handful of people in the world that are as decorated as him, and he's now stepping into potentially the best car in the field. I don't need him at 7,500 to do too much. get me a top 10 finish. And I certainly think that's in the cards. The things like pit stops, he's going to have to figure out. If it's all on the green flag, I think that's a benefit to him. No stage breaks, not having to pit under caution with 30 other people on pit road is a big aid for him. So if they can work around that, there's a lot of advantages for this play to really work out. And I have high hopes for Jordan Taylor. It could bust, obviously, but I'm super excited. I'm a big fan of him. He's fun as hell to watch on social media. Lots of good content, and I think there's really big upside. I don't want to go and say he can contend for the win, but I certainly think top 5 upside is real and should be contending for a top 10 finish.
All right, well, there's some passion right there. Matthew's saying you think they're gimmicks. Ready to prove them wrong. All right, we're going to put it over to you, Jason. Who is your
I just want to make a comment. I came into this week not planning on starting any of those guys, but you've definitely portrayed a pretty good image of it. Like I said, I haven't done the research on Taylor to even know who he is or what he does. So that's I'm glad that you took the time to do that, because I might find myself reaching to play him a little bit this week. I don't know. Like you said, the concern for me obviously it would be his, like you said, pit stops and that kind of stuff. And then but here's a thought. His ISMA, they don't have stage breaks, right?
No.
Right. So he's probably the only one of the few drivers in the field that knows how it is to make a long run, right? Without having caution.
At this point, right? Yeah.
Right. Because that's the thing. How many of these guys in the field have actually ran a long green flag run?
In the last decade, right? Yeah.
Right.
Ty Gibbs is what the hell's a race without stage breaks?
Right.
So yeah, he will have some, definitely some road racing advantages that the rest of the field simply
saving the tires, knowing saving fuel, how to stretch that out, how to play the strategy. Those are all things that he definitely will have an edge in as well. Right. So yeah, I like that. That's a good call. I like it. My driver to watch is going to be Jordan Taylor. No, I'm just my driver to watch, at least who I'm watching this week and what I'm looking for particularly is where he qualifies at is Eric Jones, right? No one in 2022 scored more points on DraftKings on road courses than Eric Jones, 263 DraftKings points. Reason why? Because he also had the worst average starting position of any driver. Started in the back, right? Always started in the back, but he started 26 or worse in every single road course race. But it provided massive upside for him, right? His highest finish last year was only 9th, but he still had 4 performances of over 50 DraftKings points just from starting in the back, right? Like a guy who just was able to work through the field, survive the carnage, right? I know maybe the stage breaks don't play into him now. Maybe he has a little bit more struggle with that, but I'm definitely going to be looking at where he qualifies because he's just been kind of a lock for finishing inside the top 3 in GK performances if he starts outside the top 30.
Okay, we're going to stick with you and go right down to your value play. Does your value play have anything to do with the same track history or the same road course history, or is it somebody else?
It's somebody else. My next guy down the value tier guy I'm watching is I want to watch Justin Haley, right? Dinger's son, he gets the notoriety like his Dinger's son, right? We've all seen how AJ Allmendinger has taken different drivers underneath his wings, made them better road course racers, and we've seen that start to flourish with Justin Haley. His AJ's coaching has really helped him. He was consistent in 2022. He had 5 finishes inside the top 20. He finished no worse than 24th in any race on road courses last year. He ended 2022 strong on the Roval, right? He qualified 13th. He had the 4th best average running position before he finished 5th. Just a really strong performance in that race. Cheap price here. Definitely going to be watching Justin Haley this week.
Yeah, I really like that one too. This range, I'm not super high on. Pretty much everyone from 7K down is kind of sketchy in my opinion. Justin Haley's been good on road courses for years. Back to when he was running Xfinity only. He's always looked solid. I was not, when we first went to the Indy road course in the Xfinity series, I was not expecting him to run top 5 all race, and he was super fast. And that all that speed on road courses has carried over to the Cup Series. He's gotten good results, looked good in the races, looked like he belonged in the top 15 on road courses. Obviously, it's going to come down to, does Kaulig have the car, to contend? But yeah, in terms of trying to find someone who can finish top 15, he's definitely at the top of the list. So I like that play a lot.
Let's flow right into it. Who is your value tier driver to watch?
So my value tier, I made some long notes, so I got to get the page too. It's Jenson Button. So I wasn't going to leave the F1 drivers off. I think anyone that knows me knows I'm an F1 guy. But just to go, if you scroll down a little bit, let's get off Jensen. Let's look at that tier real quick. You can kind of leave it at 7K and below. A lot of these guys are sketchy. The Gibbs cars had no speed, so do we trust Ty Gibbs? I don't know. Austin Dillon was not good. He was hoping for carnage at the end of the races to get good finishes. Priest, Almirola, Stewart-Haas Racing were trash last year on road courses, right? So and then you get to just kind of some weird plays. Like, do I want Stenhouse, who's not a good road course driver? Do I want LaJoie, who was horrible last year? Like, I don't know who I want to play in this range. And so maybe I want to take a flyer on Jensen Button. I'm more highlighting him as a driver to watch, not necessarily because I think he's going to be a great play, but literally to watch him, see where we're at come Saturday afternoon after qualifying. Do we think his practice speeds look good? Do we think he has the ability to contend for a good finish? It says Rick Ware Racing up there. It's a Stewart-Haas car. He's driving the same equipment. What's up, Scott? He's driving the same equipment that Priest and Almirola are going to drive, right? And Briscoe. That's the level of equipment he's going to be in. And let's face it, he's way more accomplished on road courses than the rest of this field. There's no one other than Kimi Räikkönen and Jordan Taylor, if you want to try to cross-reference, that can touch him in terms of actual road course ability. How that translates, I don't know. But we saw Kimi Räikkönen translate pretty well last year. He was able to adapt pretty quickly. To me, it comes down to whether Stewart-Haas finds speed in their cars, and that's the crucial thing. But Jensen Button, 2009 F1 champ. He's been working with the Garage 56 car with Hendrick Motorsports guys over there, getting that ready for Le Mans. So he has some time in a very similar car, lots of track time, hours and hours and hours at Daytona and stuff. So on the road course there. So he has some time in a similar car in the last couple of months, which I think is beneficial. He's a 2018 Super GT champ in Japan, which is it's a GT type car. So this style of car will kind of feel weight distribution, things like that will be kind of similar. So I don't think he'll have an issue adapting. It's the speed in the car. But I'm excited to watch him. I love Jensen Button. He's a phenomenal person. He's super what's the word? Charismatic. Like he's a cool guy that you just want to root for. So I'm super excited to see him race.
All right. Well, this is the part of the show where we try to highlight your, just give you guys an opportunity to get that clip of you guys predicting the race winners. So let's talk about your predicted race winners here. Ryan, we're going to go right back to you. And I want to know, are you going to pick the race winner that is going to make Dustin happy in Noah Gragson?
No. 15th.
I tell you what, Gragson might get a top 20. No, I'm going Kyle Larson. So I touched on it, when I was picking him as my driver to watch. I think Hendrick might have an advantage here this week, and I think they may come in. And that's not really – it's hard to say that it's not to do with what we've already seen this season, but it is, but it's not. I just think they've been the best on road courses. They have a lot of experience on that team. Kyle Larson's a phenomenal driver. I think the reduction in downforce plays into his hands. I think a lot of things – kind of playing the Kyle Larson's hand and no stage breaks, not getting crazy late. Man, if this race in 2021 didn't have stage breaks, he would have cleared the field by a lap. Like, it wasn't even close. If Sonoma, if they weren't battling pit stops around stages and staying out for stage points, he would have crushed the race there. No stage cautions will help this guy out if he's out front and dominating. So that's what I'm anticipating. I do think there's Ross Chastain's out there that can contend, but I'm going with Kyle Larson.
All right, not a bad shout there. Are you agreeing with Ryan there, Jason, or are you getting a bit different? And let me just say, I don't expect you guys to agree on anything, so you may go ahead.
No, I'm not agreeing with him on who's going to win, but I'm kind of like in the same boat with him. I'm hugging that tree, not really going out on a limb. Kind of playing it safe this week. I'm going with Kyle Busch, right? Larkin kind of touched on it earlier. Like, he's kind of got a lot of traction already this week. There's no secret to how good this 8 car was last year. We saw Reddick just dominate in it. Kyle Busch obviously had a down year on road courses last year, but we talked about it. All of Toyota was down. Joe Gibbs Racing was terrible last year. All Toyota struggled. So does this new 8 car I feel like this 8 car is going to give him the speed he's going to need. We've seen Kyle Busch has been a road course, not a ringer, but he's been successful on road courses in his career. Well, he's got 4 wins. He did finish 10th here in 2021, but he ran led laps in that race, was running up towards the front. I think he had the best average running position in 2021 here. He was running great in this race last year, despite Toyota's struggles on road courses. He was running in the top 5 last year before he had that accident towards the end of the race. Dominated the Xfinity race here in 2021. Started on the pole, led just about every damn lap. So I think it's if he qualifies well, qualifies to the front, Busch is definitely going to be a contender this week.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the show. But can I have permission to spin the wheel to predict my race winner?
Sure, go for it.
I'm doing it. I think that'd be great. Let's see who. Oh, we do, sir. We have a very important thing to do. So let me do the non-important thing first. And of course, there's no gimmick drivers. There's no gimmick drivers on here, as they would say. But according to the wheel, the winner this week.
Please give him Cody Ware.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Who is it?
Kevin Harvick. Ooh.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna win.
I don't think it's always.
I think this thing's fun. I like that wheel. All right, let's get to the important stuff. Jason has some very important news. We have 10 live viewers. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Floor is yours, Jason. What is your giveaway this week?
I think we're giving away a bunch of stuff, right? I mean, I know for starters, we're going to give away a package to Run Pure Sports for 30 days. But you have to subscribe, right? To I don't know why you guys let me explain this. I think we're going to give away a 30-day subscription once we hit 300 subscribers, right? So right now, what you have to do is you have to hit that subscribe button to enter to win. Once we hit that 300th subscriber, we're going to give away a 30-day pass to Run Pure. And I think Larkin is going to try to one up me here with what he's going to throw in the bag.
I don't one up because I can't one up. But yeah, so the goal is for you guys to hit subscribe to the channel and to grow it. We need to get more subscribers. We need to get more people involved. So when we get to 300, Jason's going to get Run Pure to throw out a free month. If we can do it here this week, that'd be great. You can get free action on the Masters. Like I'm ready for the Masters golf tournament. It's going to be awesome. Things like that. The Run Pure subscription is going to get you to every sport, not just NASCAR. So I think that's the real key to that thing is that's the full site, NBA. And if it takes till freaking August to get this, then you're going to get some NFL action. But you're going to get that. From me, you're going to get a free month to my site. And then I will also throw in a hat. So I ordered a bunch of hats. They're on the way. They're getting made in like Missouri or something. Yes, yeah. Your guys' hats are in the mail almost. And, but we're going to give away a hat. So I'll give away a hat in a month. He'll give away a month. We'll do it to 2 different people. So we'll give away some stuff to a couple people, but we got to get to that 300 subscriber number. So please subscribe, like our videos, tell your mom, whatever. Just help us out and try to help us grow this thing so we can move the needle a little bit more.
And if you're if you're really up for the challenge and like you want to make a bot and like create a bunch of accounts and just subscribe to 150 times with all these different accounts and just help boost our numbers, you'll guarantee yourself the win. So like ChatGPT it, figure it out. I don't know.
I just subscribed to that. I just paid $20 to ChatGPT today.
Did you? Nice.
Yeah. I have to use it for my other job. And I'm like, you can't get on in the middle of the day. Like, it's just too busy. I'm like, screw it. I will make that back in 1 hour. So, yes, I will pay you your $20. And it works amazing. It's so worth it.
Yeah, I wrote code for my other job for something I wanted to launch on our website, and I was able to get it to write code for me.
Nerd.
Yeah, I know. I didn't do it. It did it, but it's just so, like you said, yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Hey, can ChatGPT get my hats here quicker? I want a cool looking hat.
No, but I got a few on the way. I got 3 different designs. One that's going to be extremely limited, and I'm going to have one. And there's going to be one more available. So that might be the one we send out if we get to 300. So you might end up with a limited edition hat if you jump in here.
Well, that's going to do it for us here. Make sure to guys hit like button down below, subscribe to the channel, grow the channel for that giveaway to happen soon. Before we go, though, I'm going to give the floor over to my amazing co-host here. Ryan, we'll start with you. Where can I find you? And any final words for this weekend?
Yeah, so everything's at I almost said Run Pure Sports.
Yeah.
Damn it. Everything's at DailyFanRacing.com. We had a great weekend last week. We cover all racing series that DFS offers. So we'll have full coverage this weekend. We got Xfinity and trucks both on Saturday, Cup on Sunday. Free newsletter drop. That's actually on my Twitter, so you can go check that out as well. We got a lot of content. We're going to put out a ton of stuff. Hopefully win a bunch of money and go from there. But yeah, dailyfanracing.com for all your racing needs. The solver, we had huge success. I should mention this. We had huge success with the solver and the optimizer and the projections this week across all the races. I can't technically say how big the winner is because the person told me that he wants to remain anonymous, but I will say there was a massive winner.
Big, huh?
That big, a massive winner on the Cup race that is a Daily Fan Racing sub. And so it was really cool. We can't promote it really much more than that. You know, I want to respect his wishes, but we had a lot of success this past weekend, and I'm really proud of the work that Dustin and Luke have been doing for us, and Caleb as well when he's able to help out. So really appreciate that. Jason, floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, we're crushing as well over here at Run Pure Sport. You guys know you can find me and my stuff over there at Run Pure Sports. I put out my free article every Sunday morning. It should be religious. You guys check it. 8 a.m., 7 a.m. It's going to be there for you waiting when you wake up. Cheat sheet, breakdown. I try to throw graphs, try to give you all the information you need going into the day before you start the rest of your research and figure out where you want to line up your lineups. I throw out some cores. Obviously, you guys know Run Pure Sports. If you wanted to get a little bit more action, you can check out, you can get some register, sign up, and check out Coop's stuff and Matty Ice. And like I said, they put out a lot of winners last week as well. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of Matty Ice's cores myself.
That's what I heard.
That's a bad inside joke.
I have no idea. So I'm just going to move on, guys. That has been 46 minutes in my time hosting this show. I don't know if it's been on the channel completely, but in my time, this is the longest show and one of my favorite ones so far. A lot of information. I'm really looking forward to COTA this weekend. If we're getting out here, we're telling everybody all these cool stories. I'm learning. So thank you to everybody for putting up with all my gimmicks, calling this the wrong course every weekend and week out. I'm learning. I'm having a lot of fun building weekly thanks to the help of these two, and I've made some decent money doing so. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in, making this possible, and I would love the chance to make this continue to grow and give away these giveaways and continue to be a weekly staple to my schedule here. So thank you to both you guys for doing the show with me, and I look forward to continuing it down the road. That's gonna do it for us here on the Daily Fan Racing NASCAR DFS preview show. We got one more thing from Jason.
It's single bullet week is what I'm saying. Throw the single bullet week. I think you can get by with the one single bullet this week. I think it's been on how we get qualified. I love single bullet in road courses. That's what I'm probably going to do this week.
I don't blame him. I'll probably do 3, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the you can go lower on your lineup making here. Small amount of lineups can definitely win big.
I don't mind that. But once again, for the final time, that's going to do it for us here on the Daily Fan Racing NASCAR DFS preview show for COTA this weekend. Again, hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, trying to make sure we can enter that giveaway. Appreciate everybody for joining in tonight. Enjoy the races this weekend, and let's make some money, guys. Peace.